prescribed by the Ministry of Health. I have just come from my constituency. People are not taking this seriously. Right, Honorable Speaker, it's important for you also to note that the mask which were ordered for the general population has not arrived in Dokolo. And let it be recorded that Dokolo has not received any mask which the government promised. So as I speak now, my people are affected by the flood and they are not protected in any way. In view of the difficulties in implementing the SOPs, and in view of the plans that the government has, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm making an appeal that the government must come up with a cheap option for mass testing of COVID-19. Right Honorable Speaker, it would be better for each one of us to take in as a responsibility to walk to the nearest health center and be tested, rather than just sampling. We will never be able to record the exact number of people affected because we don't have the figures. People who are being tested now are people who are either directly associated with somebody who has by chance been found to be affected, and yet there could be so many affected people in the community that have not been tested. So therefore, if we are taking COVID-19 seriously, and if we are trying to avoid going into the disasters that we have seen happening in other countries, it is very important, Right Honorable Speaker, that the government be implored to come up with cheap mechanism for mass testing of COVID-19. I beg to appeal.
Can I ask the senior minister to say something?
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Barbara Ogwal for raising this important issue of mass testing, but also generally raising the point which all of us know, that the cases are rising, the deaths are rising, and there is need for vigilance as a preventive measure, but also testing that is necessary. We had a discussion on what more can we do to prevent COVID and also fight against COVID yesterday in the National Task Force. And the issue of testing is one of the things that we are looking at. But obviously, Madam Speaker, as you know, this requires, mass testing requires resources to acquire the reagents and the kits that are necessary for testing, but also the availability of these test kits is an issue. So at the moment, Madam Speaker, we continue to do what we can at our best as government to do the testing, but to say that we are going to test every Ugandan is something that is not possible at the moment, because we cannot, even if the resources were available in terms of finances, we cannot get all the required test kits because the world is stretched to have the test kits to do this. But we continue to do the testing that we are doing, and also encourage all of us, even us here, to abide by the guidelines, social distancing, putting up a mask when you in public, and washing your hands before you touch your nose, your mouth, and your eyes. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now, Honourable Minister, I don't know whether it would not be appropriate for the members of the National Task Force to get out of Kampala, go to the districts, go to the radios, and speak this message. Maybe the local people are not putting out the message. I think they need to hear some additional voices on this issue. I don't know. Because the task force is here in Kampala.
Madam Speaker, one of the issues that also we discussed, which is going to be continue to be supported, was the issue of communication, risk communication to the public. Even in areas where we have distributed masks, as you know, people are not using them rightly, putting them on properly. So I agree with you that there is need to get out and communicate, and that issue is being discussed and going to be handled by the Ministry of Health, and we have committed ourselves to looking for resources to boost the risk communication for COVID so that we can prevent what is happening in the country.
Thank you. Item 3.
Madam Speaker.
Item 3, bills first reading.
Madam Speaker.
Wait.
Madam
Now,
Speaker.
what do you want to say?
Yes,
Let's
Madam
finish this
Speaker,
item, then we'll come to you.
I want to thank the Minister for that response. But Madam Speaker, this issue of testing should be taken seriously. And even the issue of masks. Madam Speaker, Tororo and the constituency I represent was privileged to be among the areas that received the masks first. But unfortunately, up to today, we have very many people who did not get these masks. And yet the intention of government, which was correct, was to facilitate those border lines, the border people, to make sure that all of them have masks. But like you've rightly said, we need the task force to get out and verify whether the so much money we provided for these masks has been, value for money has been realized. The masks even that were given, Madam Speaker, some masks are so big where some people have turned to use them, even some ladies are using them as bras. Madam Speaker, this thing is so serious. The masks are so big, others are so small. People now have lost the meaning of what a mask really looks like. And also, Madam Speaker, the testing. Now we are challenged. People at the border, drivers who bring units from Malaba like up to Kampala, who earn 70,000, are challenged to pay 250,000 for testing. Really, this measure of testing has to be reconsidered such that Ugandans can benefit either from the government support or we allow our people get into this situation which is getting very bad. Madam Speaker, this has to be taken seriously.
Madam Speaker.
Let's hear from the border.
Madam
Finish the
Speaker.
border, then I come to the other border. Okay. Yes.
It is not business as usual on the border. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether Uganda we don't benchmark from Kenya. As I speak now, every Kenyan citizen on the border is given free COVID-19 testing. We, on the side of Uganda, they are conditioning us to pay 240. According to the poverty level of the people in eastern Uganda, and Busia in particular, 240,000 shillings of Uganda is a capital that can do a small-scale business. I therefore request government to make lives of our people to be comfortable and free for us to carry out cross-border trade. Kindly let the government test our people at free cost. Because if that is not done, some of us, we have uncles in Kenya, we have relatives in Kenya. This is making life very difficult for our people to visit and also making life difficult for the people who depend on business because we are cross-border traders. Then lastly, Madam Speaker and my colleagues, COVID is now a game only strictly in Kampala. Because when you go in our places, where we come from, the constituencies, you don't hear any information. I would even challenge, when was the last minister, when did the last minister visit our frontline districts like Busia? Nobody has ever visited at all up to now. But people need to know the information.
A point of order, Honorable Jova.
Right Honorable Speaker, information has come to this floor that the COVID cases are increasing all over the country. Even for us in Mitoma, during this week, we registered 4 cases. We should be trying to sensitize our people to ensure that they protect themselves more against this deadly disease. Is the Honorable Macho in order to to mislead the House, mislead the Ugandans who are listening, to say that COVID is a game only in Kampala and that it is not anywhere else in the country. Is the honorable member in order, really? Is he in order, right honorable Speaker?
No, honorable members, I think he said the perception of the population is that COVID is a Kampala issue. That's what the population thinks.
Madam Speaker, as I summarize, I hope my sister Kamateka is still thinking about NRM campaigns. That's why she not listened to me properly very well. But however, Minister's submission, lastly, he said that government is trying to look for money to sensitize Ugandans about COVID-19. Many times we keep asking, why don't you give us the accountability of the COVID donations so that we know how the money was spent and the balance can go on sensitizing our people how to keep themselves safe on effects and infection of COVID-19. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Olanya and then the Leader of Opposition. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I wanted to give to my colleague is that, Right Honorable Speaker, when the staff of one of the health centers in my district was tested positive for COVID-19, we asked the ministry to test all the medical officers in that particular health centers and the surrounding places. Right Honorable Speaker, for our dismay, the ministry sent the information to Amoro that currently there is no test kits for COVID-19. And as we talk now, all those medical officers are still within the health centers. No testing has ever taken place, and we do not know what is going on, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the case of mass testing is so paramount. Currently, we have so many contacts and contacts of the contacts, but the government, it seems we have no capacity completely to carry on the mass testing. Yet we were informed that we had so many donations by the well-wishers. Money collected from the well-wishers, donors gave us too much money, and we do not know where that money is. Recently, we were told that the money was stolen. By who and how? Right Honorable Speaker, it seems in this country, we are taking our country for granted. What was given to help in the fights against COVID-19 is nowhere to be seen. Right Honorable Speaker, finally, even the ambulances, we have been crying for the ambulance in Amoro district, in the border. Up to now, we have no ambulance completely given by the government. Yet some time back, very many ambulances were donated to the country. The government was parading so many double cabin, strong vehicles, but right now those cars have disappeared. We do not know who are the people using those vehicles. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to be very serious on the mass testing of our people in order to save the Ugandans' life. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Can I invite the Leader of Opposition? 2 minutes.
Right Honorable Speaker, we have logistic hub which is to be built in Gulu in the railway station in a place we call Laibi Go Down. But it is to displace over 400 households. The agreement notice was given to these people in July last year that they would be compensated. Valuation was done, and the compensation was to come from EU, from European Union. And their last date was supposed to be 21st March this year. These people have been evicted. Some of them have left. They have been evicted without even this compensation which was agreed on. And the violation was individually ranging from 250,000 to 6 million. I wanted the Honorable Minister of Works, who seems not to be here, but the Prime Minister will explain to us, why is it that this compensation is not done? And can the Right Honorable Prime Minister or the representative also really, for consideration, give something small for these families which are being evicted, and some of them really want to go to court, to give something from your stores in case you have those disaster management items. If you have to give them, not to just send them empty-handed. The displacement is big. We all love this logistic hub, but let the agreement be followed. Can the minister explain to us? Thank you.
We'll ask the minister of, I don't know whether it's land or works, responsible for works, Minister of Works, to come and update the country on the issue of compensation to the people living along the rail line in Gulu, and it should do it before the 1st of October. Item 3. Item 3.
Item 3 on the other paper, bills first reading.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, we're still doing some consultation on one or two technical issues which are required to take back to Cabinet on Monday. It's my humble request that you allow us to present the bill on Tuesday next week.
Okay. We'll put you back. Yes, can we hear from our chair? Chair of Legal and Parliamentary.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. This House yesterday directed and referred the matter related to various aspects of our electoral process, and I want to report that we've just been in a meeting with the Minister of Local Government, with the Minister of Justice and the Electoral Commission on the following matters. And that is, I think that's why the Minister could not proceed with the reading, first reading of the bill. On one, on the change of name. Right Honorable Speaker, we had a very lengthy discussion, and we came to realize that there is need to protect legally the women who are married and adopted the names of their husbands. They should not be vulnerable. The law, as it is, may bring absurdity, would make it like it is criminal for a woman who adopts the husband's name and uses it to register in the National Voters Register or NIRA, and then the academic papers are different. Madam Speaker, we've implored the ministers in charge, the Minister of Justice, Honorable Kafuzi, and Minister of Local Government, to go and look at it and come back with appropriate amendment that would specifically qualify and make the demands less, and for the women who have adopted the husband's name. And we believe that this House would be able, Madam, if you could direct the Minister on that regard, to come back here with appropriate amendment of the Registration of Persons Act. Secondly, the issue of the women representation in the council. Article 182B was cited by the Attorney General. The committee cited Article 102D. The composition of the council. The general debate surrounded at Parliament here, we can have women as they are represented. But at the local government, the districts, when we process their budgeting, gender mainstreaming must be realized from that grassroots. We are overburdening the women to give them 2, 3 sub-counties. So we also request that this House, Madam Speaker, directs the relevant minister to come back with appropriate amendment that would reflect the progressive nature of affirmative action. We cannot stay and close our eyes as if the situation is the same as it was in 1995. The reason 182D was put there is the same why Article 78 is there for us to review the composition of this same House. And we've just done the review, and we brought in the elderly. The other aspect, Madam Speaker, is of the name and of the local government. Whereas the age limit, and it so happened that the same minister who brought the age limit motion for the presidential and the LC5, he found himself now in the midst of local government with a number of young people who are supposed to be chairperson LC3s of town council, sub-counties, divisions, and they are not there. Madam Speaker, there would be no any other relevant minister than the same minister to go back and complete the age thing that he started. So we request that direct the minister, the relevant ministers, to handle those 3 aspects so that we can proceed with time. I beg to report.
Okay, Honorable, wait a bit. Honorable Chair, on the order paper there is item 7 with regard to the issue of the name. Do we take it that your report, your verbal report, will suffice for this matter?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, because the clerk, they were trying to still make the report, but it's not different from this. So I will do, for order, for business number 7, you adopt this verbal communication I've made to constitute the report from the committee.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker, I wanted to make also a rejoinder of people with disability, that is at local council. People with disability, and probably it will also come to the older people. More so for the cities. The cities have only 2 divisions. That means then the electorates of the cities at that higher level going to city councillors, they will only have 10 voters. And yet each one of them who will have to go and nominate are required to have at least 7. 1 proposer, and then 1 seconder, and 5 other people to back up. So now where do they get the rest? No. Don't you think that sometime it will become a challenge and all of them fail to nominate, to realize the what?
Honourable Member, you know that matter is outside. I want us to conclude on this one of the age of the women councillors and the change of name. So, Honourable Members, the Minister...
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rose on a matter of clarification from the chairperson. I heard him making serious decisions which are very proper, which I agree with, but I never heard him putting into consideration the fact that nominations for local governments will be ending next week on the 1st. It's quite important as the minister comes through. It should also build confidence in us that whatever we are discussing is going to be for the benefit of the people who are interested in participating in these elections. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, the issues raised this afternoon, or rather since yesterday, the issue of the change of name is a very, very vital issue for purposes of representation. The issue of the councillors for effective also representation is very important and urgent. And the issue of the age of the leaders, the age to contest for chairmanship of the sub-county, the town councils and the divisions is equally important. So we urge the minister responsible to work expeditiously during this weekend and ensure that on Tuesday we're able to handle this matter. It's important for the elections and the time is of essence. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, additionally, I thought it is very unfair for the Minister of Local Government to come to this House and seek an amendment when this very own House passed a law and it is with them and they have not reported officially to us. Because all the issues that we are questioning here were duly captured in the amendment which we passed in this House. So what is the fate of the last amendment we did to the Local Government Act before we even talk about bringing another? Is it signed? What is the problem with it? Madam Speaker, the Minister should clarify.
Minister of Local Government.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to inform the House that His Excellency the President assented to the law and signed it on the 17th of August. It is now law. That's why we need to now seek an amendment on that very law. But we'll ensure that on Tuesday, copies of the approved law are in each member's pigeonhole. I thank you for that question.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, in that case, the Electoral Commission cannot then purport to deny the aspirants who want to contest for the chairperson LC3, for the chairperson of the town councils, on the basis of an amendment that is going to come, which is anticipation. The law must be implemented as it is. So as it is now, if the president has assented to it, then all those ones who are 18 and above and they are registered should be nominated. Secondly, we had asked that women be represented from all the electoral areas. As it is now, they should. So, Chair, I will take information from Chair of Legal who processed the age limit together with the ministers so that he can help.
At least you are on record for opposing it, but now you are for it. The issue of age should not be a restriction anywhere in the world, and I have no regrets about that. Madam Speaker, what my honorable colleague Jonathan is talking about, we had Electoral Commission. There was an error of omission that whereas the age limit, the upper limit was removed and the lower limit was adjusted for presidential and the LC5 chairpersons. When we were processing the bill, and this is when the issue of qualifications came, there was a mismatch. So the Minister of Local Government and Minister of Justice has to come back to reflect the amendment. They had actually a proposed amendment under to amend section 114C by deleting, but we retained it. So the position as it is now, the Electoral Commission can only use the law as it is. So that's why the agency, you would agree with the ministers, the two ministers, that they come back here with a comprehensive amendment. And the issue of Honorable Patrick Nsamba on the nomination, we agreed with the Electoral Commission. They said the nomination is open up to 1st of October, and the issue of nomination is not cast on stone. It's not a matter that is established by law, meaning that they could make some necessary changes if there is any delay. But since the two ministers have undertaken to come back here on Tuesday, we shall still be within the framework, and I beg that we agree with the ministers to proceed.
Now, honourable members, I don't know whether judicial notice cannot be taken of the constitutional amendment, and these far out registers will process the law. Because we amended. We said 18, from 18 you're able to be a president, so why can't you be a chairman of the district?
Madam Speaker, what the chairman of the committee is going to telling us will mislead the country. The procedure for nomination is that once only one person is nominated for an area, the officer from Electoral Commission is supposed to declare that person duly elected from that moment. So if nomination closes on the 1st, it is incumbent upon the district registrars, returning officers, to immediately declare where there is only one person nominated. So once we say that is not cast in the stone, and yet we have the provision of the law that will declare those councillors duly elected from the date the date coming ahead, then we cannot come back here and say we are going to open nominations.
Can the minister ask for enlargement of time? The minister responsible, can he ask for enlargement of time in relation to these young people?
Right, Honourable Speaker, we are going to have a meeting tomorrow morning with the Electoral Commission at 10. We have already fixed that meeting. We shall see how to report back.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want this for the legal minds to know as they continue to work on the names and then the age and everything for local governments and also for parliament and all the elected leaders. For all the cities, there are only two divisions. That means those candidates who are for city council, they will only have 10 electorates, only 10. And yet, for one person to be elected, the person needs 7. It becomes a very difficult mathematics for people to nominate. Sometime of the 10, if they scattered, then they will not be able to realize anybody to nominate in that position. Of either, it's either people with disability or even the older persons, those people who have electoral colleges. So I wanted you people to also go back and try to look into it, analyze it, and come out with the possible solutions for the people. I've already been asked by some of my electorates in Gulu. They say they were getting stuck because out of the 10 people only, if there are 4, then they are going to scatter and none will be able to qualify to nominate. What do you say about it? Honorable Minister for local government, this is your area. Thank you.
More clarification. In areas where we have one-woman cancer who contested through primaries representing 2 sub-counties, what is going to happen? Because even parties should also be notified, because in some of our constituencies you find that you have only one male councillor representing a sub-county, but one female councillor representing 2 sub-counties. And they have already gone through primaries, after that hectic work. Now, that one should also be noted that parties should organize additional party primaries, I think.
Minister, handle it with the Electoral Commission on the issue of enlargement of time for all the sectors where there are some deficiencies. Item 4.
Item 4, statements by ministers on 1, the preliminary report of escape of prisoners from Moroto prison.
Minister, Internal Affairs. It's not here. 4.2.
4.2,
Same minister.
on action taken report on compensation of Kanungo fans whose parents perished in the infamous Juwetere Inferno in March 2000.
Honorable Macho.
Right Honorable Speaker and my colleagues, security is key and one of our objectives of the national resistance movement. Madam Speaker, whereas everybody in this country knows we had a prison break, and all the information that has been going out in the whole country that the prisoners escaped with guns, the prisoners, some escaped with the COVID from prison to the population. The minister has kept silent on this matter, and Ugandans in the Karamoja sub-region are wondering what will happen next. Madam Speaker and my colleagues, I don't know whether we are proceeding well when such a very important matter takes place in a country and the minister keeps quiet to an extent that he cannot give a statement in the House of Parliament of Uganda. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding well. If we have guns in the community, and moreover, everybody knows the history of cattle wrestling in that area of Karamoja sub-region, and if we have prisoners who are sick of COVID-19, who have ran and disappeared in the population, I don't know whether we are really proceeding well, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, before you...
Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Allow me to apologize on behalf of my senior colleague, because yesterday he came here ready with that statement, but we were coming from COVID testing, and he told me in particular that he had got a very bad reaction to that thing they poked into your nose. And he gave me 2 copies of the statement. I do not know, it is possible that it's the reason he has not turned up today. He had requested me to make that presentation. Madam Speaker, if it pleases you, my office is just a walking distance. I can pick that statement and present it to Parliament.
You want to go to your office?
Yes, if it pleases.
I have a copy here.
Okay.
You are going to present on his behalf?
Yes, I will present it. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, sometimes it's as if we don't share the other papers, because a lot of time the ministers are not there, and government chief whip is there. Really, is this how we are going to proceed? That every time, it is not only for Minister of Internal Affairs, but it's for most ministers. They are never here. Can the leader of government, if she can explain to us, or else if these people don't get other papers at all. For if you get other paper, you should take responsibility of either giving to your colleague or coming yourself to be able to either respond or, make clarification for us. This is not how we are going to govern the country. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, please proceed. The matter was on the other paper yesterday. It is there today. He says he's representing his colleague. You present the statement.
Most obliged.
Please, let us receive the statement, please. We have read the item. Proceed.
Most obliged, Madam Speaker. A statement on the preliminary report of escape of prisoners from Moroto prison. introduction. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I would like to take this opportunity to brief you on the mass escape of prisoners from Moroto Prison on the 16th day of September 2020 at approximately 16 hours. Right Honourable Speaker, let me clearly point out that this is a preliminary report because investigations are still ongoing as the situation is still developing. The incident. On the 16th day of September 2020 at 16 p.m., a massive escape occurred through the main gate of Moroto Prison. This occurred when the kitchen party was entering in supper, that is the kitchen outside prison, and preparing for final lockup. 8 officers who had been deployed in Boma, that is the inside court of the prison, with 4 sentries to guard the prison. A group of inmates grabbed the gatekeeper before he could lock the inner gate. Prisoners overpowered the guards, broke the locking system of the main gate, raided the armory, and broke outside of the prison. Out of the 687 prisoners at the time, 224 escaped. 1 prisoner was recaptured and 1 shot dead. Police and the army were called in for support. The prisoners escaped with 14 guns, 16 magazines, and 480 rounds of ammunition. The situation. Colleagues, you will recall that in March 2020, when the country locked down, all gatherings in prevention and control of COVID-19, Uganda prisons remained open for admission of suspects from court. As a COVID-19 control and preventive measure, Uganda Prison instituted the following strategies. A. Established 83 isolation facilities for new admissions, Moroto inclusive. B. Encamped staff in the prisons to prevent staff taking in COVID to prisoners. C. Established treatment centers for COVID-19 patients or prisoners. D. Locked down all prisons' barracks. E. Suspended all prisoners' visitations, among others. Secondly, incidents of cattle rustling resumed in Karamoja region. The army embarked on a disarmament exercise which resulted into many arrests of Karamojong warriors and who were sent to Moroto isolation prison. Because of COVID-19, these could not be taken to other prisons for fear of spreading the virus. Otherwise, the normal practice is to institute transfers or institutional transfers. In the month of August 2020, Moroto prison was hit by cholera, which affected both prisoners and staff. On 10th September 2020, 138 prisoners and 7 staff were identified with COVID-19, and samples taken for all the staff and prisoners for additional tests. This caused stress and panic to staff after 6 months of encampment in the prison. Out of the 224 prisoners that escaped, 16 prisoners have so far been recaptured and 7 prisoners killed during the exchange of fire with the combined force of the UPDF, Uganda Police and prisons, leaving a total of 206 prisoners still at large as of Tuesday, 22nd
September 2020. Here I have a table that shows the category of cases of those who escaped. Those on robbery, defilement, desertion, you know, there is a list I do not think I need to go through. Causes of mass escape. The following observations were made following the incident. 1. A weak infrastructure, poor infrastructure design, and low capacity. The carrying capacity of the prison is 197 prisoners compared to 687 prisoners who were in prison at the time of the escape. In this, 3.5 times the official capacity. This is 3.5 times the official capacity of the prison. 2. The effect of cholera and COVID on staff morale after prisoners and staff testing positive. A. Prisoners and staff were hit by cholera as they were recovering from COVID-19. 138 prisoners and 7 staff were tested positive. This affected staff morale and panic and caused panic as staff continued to wait for their results with a lot of anxiety. The COVID-19 SOPs distances staff and administration from getting closer to prisoners, and this affects the communication between prisoners and staff on key security information issues, in brackets intelligence. Then staff position. After turning Moroto prison into an admission center during COVID-19 pandemic guidelines for all prisoners in Karamoja sub-region, the prisoners' population increased without increasing the staff levels. 229 staff are required against the available 86 at the time of escape. 4. A long pre-trial remand periods where some inmates have stayed for 5 years on remand. Action taken. Police and the army were called in to reinforce the prison staff. 2. Dispatched 15 staff of Safety and Security Unit, SSU, I've never heard of this, headed by Assistant Commissioner of Prisons in charge of Safety and Security Operations in a joint team pursuing the escapees. 3. Provided extra guns and ammunition to enhance security of the prisons. 4. Involvement of local leaders, which has continued to help locate some of the escapees. Way forward. Infrastructure remodeling, including double wall fencing with sentries or towers, CCTV cameras, razor wires, and installation of hydrants for all high security prisons. These should be completed within the next 3 months. Increase staff deployment to match security requirements to maintain prisoners for all isolation centers where we have created admissions, increased admissions. This calls for continuous recruitment and training. 3. Where we have tested COVID-19 positive, the station's management are to be assisted with A. Additional staff, B. Physical social support program. The Commissioner General of Prisons has been to the station to initiate the physical support program for the staff. Strengthen prisons' intelligence system through restructuring, redeployment, training, and funding. The Director General of Internal Security Organization, DISO, has been requested for technical support in this aspect. Provide additional guns and ammunition, heighten security, high address COVID-19 while addressing COVID-19, and staff shall be compelled to remain security alert at all times. Finally, the pursuit of the escapees and the stolen guns and ammunition is continuing, and a bounty has been placed on the 14 stolen guns and the escapees. Conclusion. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, it's most unfortunate this incident occurred. As I have indicated, this is a preliminary report. The situation is still evolving. We are continuing to pursue the escapees. I would like to appeal to all Ugandans not to give sanctuary to these escapees. Instead, immediately report them to the nearest police or other security agencies. Thank you very much.
Honorable Atiang, you'll be able to take some questions. Honorable Atiang, then Semuju, Oshave, and Macho.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This Moroto prison break is the most unfortunate happening, which is likely to increase the security situation, not only in Moroto, but Karamoja at large, if the situation is not handled well. I would like also to thank the Minister for taking the responsibility to help his colleague in presenting this preliminary report. Honorable Minister, I would like to ask her a few questions. In the report that has just been read, there is a way forward that has been pointed out to get rid of what is suspected to have caused the prison break. You have only stated, in the report, they have only stated the timeline for item number 1 in the way forward, and the 6 other items have no timeline. Now, I would like to ask, when will the ministry have this planned action done, looking at the COVID-19 management as the most urgent, looking at the numbers of positive cases in the prison? This is most important because this is one of the causes that caused fear and actually led to the flood of these prisoners. So it's important that you take it urgently. In a short time, the response, especially on the management, should be done. I am also informed that one of the issues that is suspected to have attributed to the prison break is actually the call-off of the high court sessions due to COVID-19, causing delays in justice for the inmates. That led to the grief of this inmate and should have led to the disastrous action by this inmate. I want to know from the minister whether you are aware about this as as one of the issues that could have been attributed to the prison break, and what plans do we have to reactivate the high court sessions such that the cases of these inmates are handled and such that they are able to have hope that their cases will be handled as expected. Honorable Minister, this is the preliminary report. I wonder when the final report will come out, since even the timeline for the way forward stated is not stated. So it's important that you put a timeline for when the final report will come out. Thank you.
Macho, and then I go to Semuju, Oshave, then the minister.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for his report. Madam Speaker, whereas the honorable member from that region has given very good submission, in the Minister's submission too, he talked about the poor morale of the staff of the Uganda prisons that was caused due to cholera disease and COVID-19, and making Moroto prison to be a center for COVID-19 treatment for all the inmates. But however, I would like to thank the Commissioner General that at least lifestyle in prisons have improved a lot in terms of infrastructure development. But there is need more that is wanted on the human resource. We note that still the human resource, most people have no good morale to work in prisons. I therefore request that let Prisons Department be given a priority by the Ministry of Internal Affairs in terms of staff development, in terms of remuneration and morale and motivation. But Madam Speaker, what I would like to request that the money that was put on the prisoners, the 500,000, and the money that was put on a gun, I see this as too little to motivate somebody in a Karamoja sub-region to hand over a prisoner. I see this as very little because I am not a gun trafficker at all, but if you read, I've been reading on the net, the cost of a gun from a factory, you cannot hand over a criminal at that with the poverty level in that area. I therefore advise government, through you, Mr. Minister, that let more money be added on these people because they are a serious danger and a serious problem. And your report was full of challenges, and look for way forwards for the Department of Prisons in this country. This says that we need to carry out evaluation of this department so that it can be helped to move to the level where the Uganda police force is at and where the level of the Uganda People's Defensive Force is at. But however, this is a serious matter to this country. I believe the Minister of Internal Affairs should continue updating the country of what is going on and how people in that area can safeguard themselves against the guns in the community and against the sick inmates who are in the community. But I believe this can come a successful story if we have a joint security operation on these people. Because this prison is near Kenya, I believe so, and I believe when these people cross to Kenya, without coordination of security, it will be very difficult to get them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Sam, just 3 minutes, then Oshabe, 3 minutes.
I want to thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm raising these issues in the hope that the Minister, the mandate to represent his colleague to read the statement, extends to answering questions. Of course, the assumption is that he has sufficient knowledge about the sector. Madam Speaker, if the inmates had not gone with guns, I would believe all the theories that they were running from COVID, that they simply wanted to escape. But because they went with guns, that complicates the matter. And maybe what the Minister will need to explain, because of the history of the area, with many people holding guns, whether in your own view the security at that prison facility was enough for people with that sort of history. Because my assumption is that the 14 guns were with prison officers who were disarmed. That's the assumption.
But, Honourable Member, I think we are touching now areas of investigations.
whenever, Madam Speaker, they are done, we will be glad to get to know whether there is enough security at a prison located in that area with that history. The second issue, Madam Speaker, are the conditions in prisons. I have been a resident of Maxon section of Ruzira when I was arrested during political meetings and charged with being a public nuisance. So the time I was there, it's just because of the force. Prisons are not meant to be hell, but most of them are. The feeding is very bad. Ruzira itself was for 3,000 inmates. There are over 10,000. So can the minister tell us if there are measures to decongest prisons in Uganda, if there are measures to improve the conditions, because most of the people in prisons are people on remand awaiting sentence. Some of them may actually be acquitted, but they are punished during the period they are there. I don't want to think that the conditions may have been one of the reasons, but we may use this opportunity to get the answers on two issues: the feeding and the conditions and the congestions in prison. Can the minister, now holding the portfolio of internal affairs, tell us what are these measures to improve the areas that I have mentioned? I want to thank you, Madam Speaker. Shall we?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I find it that we are in a situation which is difficult. The person who presented this on behalf of the other minister doesn't seem to have sufficient knowledge on the matters that are beforehand. That's why I really desired that we have the minister in the docket to answer to them. He has indicated quite a few things that are of concern to me. One, the preliminary report still reports the same way it reported on day one. Even after almost a week now, since the prison break, they reported that one person was shot and another person was killed. And I'm surprised that even up to now, the report seems to be the same. And after a week, a functional government should really have reported on how many really have been captured back. But we are here having the same information as it came out on day one. Madam Speaker, the statement also highlights the deplorable conditions within the prison that could have facilitated the escape. The bigger question is, what is the situation of other prisons? Are we going to see more of the same? Are we going to see similar prison breaks across the country? Probably, Madam Speaker, out of this meeting, we would task the Minister for Internal Affairs to come to Parliament and explain on the state of our prisons across the country, so that we get to know those that need to be supported, and probably those where we expect similar situations. Madam Speaker, we have the GISOs, we have the PISOs, the DISOs, whatever, we can highlight so many security details at every place in this country. Although they've been focused on handling politics, where there is a political meeting, however small it is, they will be aware. How could they fail? Honorable Minister, how could they fail at least to have information even after a week? And here you're indicating to us that probably they have been recruited, but that should be their normal way. Madam Speaker, I have my fears that probably the mafia group in this country is at this, and these are fears, because it can't take, Madam Speaker, it can't be a week, a full week, if it is not a well-planned move by the mafias in this country to have a prison break, and up to now there is no clear information. Madam Speaker,
Point of order.
Point of order.
Because I've talked about the mafias.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The members are concerned, seriously concerned, about the incident that happened in Moroto. The member holding the floor is insinuating improper motives in the minister and government without coming out properly with information that can help government to make sure that we trace these prisoners. We know very well that even the mighty governments, when it comes to security, they get surprised. They are attacked, they get surprised. And I know that Honorable Nsamba knows the effort that this government has done to make sure that the people of Uganda and the territory of Uganda is intact. Is he in order to really mislead the country and also impute improper motives in the statement given by the minister?
No, members, I don't know whether he named any particular person as having been involved. I think he's just expressing surprise that so far, notwithstanding the structures of the state, these people have not been arrested. I think that's what I was talking about.
Procedure. Right, Honorable Speaker. There have been series of disasters taking place in this country. And it looks as if unless Parliament comes up to demand that an explanation be given, things remain as if nothing has happened. Right, Honorable Speaker, the statement may be misplaced, but we are getting suspicious that really government is not proactive. The government does not respond quickly to serious disasters like breaking into prison and capturing arms and arming people. Which is the next prison they are going to break in? Who are the people behind those breaking into prison? So really, Right Honorable Speaker, the procedure is, can we have a government that is sensitive, that will respond to emergency and will come up with information without waiting for Parliament to labor and to beg and to plead as if we don't have a government? Thank you.
Okay, anyway, please close.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for your wise ruling. I know the Honorable Nankabirwa stood up because I talked about the mafias, but she should have heard, Madam Speaker, that my concern, when the entire country is concerned about this matter, even the responsible minister is not in the house. Why can't we think that probably there is a plan of people who are working in certain ways, crooked ways,
in this country. We need explanations, and serious explanations, not the way we are handling this matter. And I would like the minister who is here to represent the Minister for Internal Affairs, that this matter must be handled with the severity it deserves, not in a casual manner, the way it is being handled. Thank you very much.
Now, honour members, I just want to add something. Honour members, when we were interviewing the Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, one of the things that came out is that there are delays in the hearings because the circuit covers about 20 districts, and the judge goes out for only 1 month. So they can only do maybe 10 cases. So we wrote to the President, telling him that we must increase the number of judges so that we have more circuits, increase the number of magistrates. The chief magistrates are also not sufficient. So I want really members during this new budget to support the justice sector by ensuring that we budget for more judges, more magistrates, and more facilities. That's what I would comment because of Honorable Atiang said that part of the reason is a long stay in remand, even without the COVID. Yes.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at one time they said there are some cases that need to be addressed by community what? Community work. But you find that most of these prisons are completely congested, overpowering. A prison which should hold like 200 people, you will find up to over 1,000. And sometimes even the feeding is a problem, coupled with this COVID-19. I remember visiting Luzira prison, where even some political, we call them political prisoners. You don't know why you are there. You are taken there and you are forgotten. Really, we need the minister to explain to us the congestion in the prison. Is there a need to expand prison space, that we should have very, very many people in the prisons? Why can't we have these prisoners do some work for the country instead of just locking them there? And with this COVID-19, they should have taken action a little faster than waiting for Parliament to come up and lament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Let's hear from the Minister. We need to finish with this subject.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I may not have much to answer in regard to the paper, because I represented a colleague who is well grounded in the matter of internal affairs. But allow me to respond particularly to the issue raised by Honorable Atiang Stella in regard to, she said that high court sessions had been called off. I know for a fact that the principal judge was in Moroto about 2 weeks ago. If it pleases, Madam Speaker, you will allow me time to confer with the principal judge to confirm or disapprove this fact and report back to the House.
Honour Minister, you don't have to go far. When the COVID started, even the courts had to stop working. That's when they said only 10 lawyers in the country could work, and that was after 4 months. The courts were not working. You don't have to go far for that.
Okay. In conclusion, I would say, just like the paper said, it is a preliminary paper. The investigations are still ongoing. I believe at an appropriate time, the minister concerned will present a more comprehensive report to this House. I beg to submit.
No, it's not wasting. I think it was also good for the government to come. If they had not come, would have said, why are you not bringing the paper? But now they brought it, small as it is, but they have brought some information.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you. Right Honourable Speaker, when we went to Kotido for the burial of the wife to Honourable Adome, well, the Deputy Speaker, the issue in Karamoja is bigger than what our colleagues is telling us, right Honourable Speaker. I think we'll ask the indulgence of your chair to address the issue of disarming the Karamojongs when they're neighbors in Kenya. are armed. And Right Honorable Speaker, these people are attacked every day, left, right, and center. Right Honorable Speaker, I have in Nebi a prison, which is not even fenced. But the prisoners will never take off. By the time prisoners are getting out of prisons, and they can, with clarity, point that actually the armor is there, and they go for the gun. We need to investigate beyond what the minister is saying. He has misled us here that the guns which were taken were only 14. Reliable information is that they took 37 guns. Right Honorable Speaker, for once, I think we need to be honest here. This is not a war situation where the army spokesperson can, doctor information and say 2 people were killed when actually 20 people are killed. Tell Ugandans, be honest, so that we address the issue of Karamoja squarely. The insecurity in Karamoja will go higher. The armed dealing will go higher if you don't provide them security. They are being robbed every day of their animals. The animals are being taken every day. They have no protection. So, Right Honorable Speaker, through your chair, we ask you really to engage, if you can engage even the president, the pace at which they were maintaining security by the time they disarmed Karamajongs would solve the problem. Other than beating around the bush and telling this, investigations are going on and so on, you don't know how many the guns have been taken and what insecurity.
Honorable Seko, he had something?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to raise this concern because, Right Honorable Speaker, this might not be the last incident. We still have very many prisons which are vulnerable, and whereas the statement of the minister wants to indicate that the duty to secure the prison is on the prison staff, that is not supposed to be the case, Madam Speaker. Under the standard operating procedures for vital government installations, there is supposed to be securing of installations like the prison, which is not entirely duty of prison officers. Now, in Moroto, you can see the categories highlighted by the statement. There are people who failed on their duties. There were armed people. And this one indicates that some of these were either soldiers, others were prison officers, whereas others could have been policemen. That means that there is a bigger problem within the inmates. There must have been a good number of people who have actually got skills to be able to break out, and yet such a prison was only being
now, Honourable Member, you are going into the investigations, please.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Those issues
so the statement, when the minister comes back, should really tell us whether there is a proper provision to secure these vital government installations to avoid any recurrence of such incidents, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, however, the issues of Karamoja have been noted. I think we shall engage with the head of state to see what more can be done for the area, especially on security. Item 42, same minister, do you have a statement? Do you have a statement on Kiwete incident? Do you have another statement for your colleague? No? Okay. 43.
Item 43, statement of the status of implementation of the parliamentary resolution of 3rd May 2018 on payment of monies owed to Uganda South Sudan traders.
Yes, go on. 44.
Item 44 on the closure of gender-based violence shelters in Kamuli and Namutumba districts.
Minister of Gender.
Right Honorable Speaker, like for example, 43, it's over a year, and now 44, nobody is there. Are we doing our work, or we are overstressed with the campaign and the rest of it? I thought we should complete our work. And these ministers have been disappointing us, not only today that campaign is on, but even before. When we volunteer to do work for Uganda, when we volunteer to go and request people for votes, it is important that we commit to the work that we have asked them to do. This is very unfortunate, and especially the traders of South Sudan, who should be compensated. They are in tears. Some of them can even die before their issues are cleared from here. Just because the ministers are relaxed, they don't want to do their work. This is very unfortunate. Thank you.
Okay, the matters will be reflected again on the order paper on Tuesday. Item 5.
Item 5, laying of papers. 1, Treasury Memorandum on the Parliamentary Resolutions on the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government on the report of the Auditor General for the financial year 2015-2016.
Minister of Finance. So remember, this is just laying. Is there no minister who can lay the... There are at least 3 ministers who can lay these papers.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to lay on table the Treasury Memorandum on the resolution, on the parliamentary resolutions, on the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, and on the report of the Auditor General for financial year 2015-2016, presented by the Honourable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. I beg to lay.
And members, it's sent to the Committee of Public Accounts, Central Government, for perusal and report back. 5.2, can I ask...
5.2, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Sustainable Support Phase Project, Trace 2, for the 14 months period, 1st January 2019 to 27th February 2020.
Can I ask Commissioner Awol Ochan to lay this document on the table?
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Sustainability Support Phase Project Trace 2 for the 14 months period, 1st January 2019 to 27th February 2020. I beg to lay.
Now, members, document sent the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, for perusal and report back. Item 6.
Item 6, motion seeking leave of Parliament to introduce a private member's bill entitled the National Legal Aid Bill.
No comment.
Madam Speaker, I hereby come back again on this issue. Madam Speaker, you're aware that on the 27th of September 2018, I moved a motion in this House to introduce a private member's bill on legal aid. The motion was never concluded for the reason that we had to harmonize the content of the bill and introduce the bill on the same. I beg to report that, Madam Speaker, we worked so well with the Ministry and the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. to the extent that the minister directed 2 officers of the First Parliamentary Council to work with myself and the Seconda and the Directorate of Legislative Services of Parliament. I beg to report that, Madam Speaker, we worked so well. We moved in the 4 regions of this country, and we received very, very strong support. Before I conclude, I would like to request that in our consultations, Madam Speaker, we recorded a number of 80,000 petitioners, Ugandans, who would like this bill to be made law. And here I have this petition. Madam Speaker, I request that I be helped to lift this and submit and lay this on table. Madam Speaker, these are the interests of Ugandans, 80,000 of them signed. Yeah. Bring. Madam Speaker, for purposes of record, I beg to lay, and the signatures of 80,000 petitioners who are very, very interested in making sure that the Parliament enacts a law termed the National Legal Aid Bill. Madam Speaker, what is remaining is about ensuring that we continue to work with the Ministry of Justice, in which they have accepted that I proceed with this bill. And I only request today that, since I had presented the entire substance of this motion, today I only request that I should be granted leave to proceed and come back to introduce this bill, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Honourable members,
Madam Speaker, I want to thank my colleague Honorable Alejandro for the bill he's working on, but some of us who never participated when he presented deserve to hear him present a motion before this House, so that we, based on that motion, to choose to grant him bail or not. But when he proceeds to just ask for leave without laying a substantive motion, Madam Speaker, I find it challenging. Is in order, Madam Speaker, to continue asking for laying without without him giving us the substantive motion? Thank you.
Honourable members, you must have been in the House in September 2018 when he formally moved that motion. And it was after some discussion that the position was taken. So he cannot move 2 motions on the same issue. Honourable members, in the absence of objection, put the question that Honourable Lyando be given leave to present that bill for the first reading. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no. Let's have it. Thank you.
Item 7, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs on the...
No, I think we finished that. The chair said he had reported verbally. That we handled that.
Item 8, Prime Minister's time.
Don't see the Prime Minister. Go to item 9.
Item 9, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Health on the petition of the Federation of Uganda Medical Interns concerning training, service delivery, and welfare of Uganda junior health workers.
Chair, Committee on Health.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, I'm here to present a report of the Secretarial Committee on Health on the petition of the Federation of Uganda Medical Interns concerning training, service delivery, and welfare of Uganda junior health workers. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, during the House sitting of the 1st October 2019, the Honourable Johnson Muyanja Senyonga, the MP from Kono South constituency, presented a petition of the Federation of Uganda Medical Interns in accordance with Rule 30 of the Rules of Procedure. The petition sought the intervention of Parliament in addressing challenges of training, service delivery, and welfare of Uganda medical junior doctors and health workers that they are facing. Subsequently, the petition was referred to the Committee on Health for consideration. In accordance with Article 93A and Rule 156F of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, the committee now reports. Madam Speaker and honourable members, I'll be skipping a few paragraphs just to put it in summary forms, but allow me to read a little bit of the background. Over the years, the number of medical interns has been growing gradually from about 200 in the year 2000 to about 1,170 currently. This is as a result of the increase in the universities that produce doctors, dental surgeons, pharmacists, and graduate nurses. The different categories are listed in the table on this page below. Medical interns, unlike other categories of interns, are frontline health workers world over and are regarded as public servants for the duration of their internship. In Uganda, particularly, they play a very important role because of the shortage of health workers across all levels. The most recent WHO report shows that the doctor-patient ratio of Uganda is 1 to 24,000, despite the recommended 1 to 600. Given our local challenges, the growing numbers of interns should be harnessed in order for the country to achieve the desired targets and also fill the human resource gap in the sector. The table is outlined below, as I mentioned earlier. In the recent past, these categories of medical workers have had several strikes arising from their working conditions, especially lack of proper supervision, lack of accommodation, poor remuneration, poor relationship with the Ministry of Health, and a poor working environment. To date, their issues have not been addressed conclusively. Currently, a medical intern earns a gross salary or allowance of 940,000 shillings, and after taxes, it goes to 700,000 as a net pay. That includes, Madam Speaker, payment for accommodation, feeding, and transport from where they reside. The most recent industry action was on 6th November 2017. In their petition, they had the following prayers. One, that government provides a salary scale of U4 to medical interns as stated by the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders, Section B2, for public servants holding a bachelor's degree and in line with the salary structure for the Uganda Public Service for 2019-2020, particularly U4 for Med 1 for intern doctors, and that is specified in the detail of a gross of 3 million, and for the nurses 2.2 million. Madam Speaker, I would like to add here that unlike the other interns who we see, these medical interns first graduate, then they do internship. Two, in their prayers that Parliament appropriates a supplementary budget to have the required 24.3 billion to meet the shortfall in their remuneration. And three, that the court injunction issued by the Honorable Justice Sekana Musa restraining Minister of Health from implementing the rotation of medical interns from 3 to 4 disciplines is set aside, and the ruling be respected. 4, that all medical interns be given an induction facilitated by the Minister of Health before the start of internship. And 5, that more accommodation facilities be constructed at the internship centers to accommodate all interns and exempt interns from paying of water and electricity bills. And 6, that all internship centers be stocked with enough supplies, sundries like gloves and personal protective equipment. And in 7, internship rotation issues for pharmacists be handled appropriately. Madam Speaker, the methodology is outlined in 3, which I'm not going to go through. And then I'll go straight to 4, which is findings, observations, and recommendations. 4.1, welfare, which was remuneration. In the financial year 1920, Uganda shillings 11.43 billion was allocated to cater for medical interns. However, the number deployed then was 1,170 interns, which would require 13.52 billion given the scale then. This figure, which has fairly been constant over the years, requires the Minister of Health to distribute the money to fit in the numbers that are available for that particular year, and meaning that each intern would take a gross of 940,000, and therefore there is no standard amount to be paid for these cadres. In the Committee of Health of Parliament Policy Statement Report Financial Year 1920, Parliament recommended that the gross pay for medical interns be raised to 3 million, as had been advised by the President as starting pay for medical doctors. Unfortunately, Minister of Finance did not implement this. And the starting salary for graduate nurses was recommended at 2.2 million, which still Minister of Finance did not respond to. So the committee recommended that in the short term, a supplementary budget of 17 billion be provided to cater for remuneration of the medical interns based on their equivalent graduate scales. And in the medium term, effective financial year 2020-2021, allocation for medical interns allowance be raised from Uganda shillings 13.52 billion to 35 billion. 4.12, accommodation. The committee noted that despite the requirement for medical interns to either sleep or stay on site or near their workplaces, the bigger numbers are not accommodated. Only 234 out of 170 are accommodated at their host facilities, and these are mainly in the missionary hospitals, not government hospitals. The committee visited some interns working in Mulago National Fire Hospital and found them residing in single rooms in the Katanga slums of Wandegeya. And a consolidated net package of 700,000 cannot cater for their accommodation, medical, feeding, transport, and family demands. So the committee recommended that effective 2020-2021, all public medical intern hosting facilities who lack accommodation should rent facilities near the hospitals, and this should be reflected in their policy statement. And then 2, government should implement a policy of constructing residences for health workers, including medical interns, within their campuses. 4.21, training and supervision. The committee noted that on 5th October 2018, Minister of Health, in a letter signed by the Acting Director General Health Services, introduced a new policy in the training program of interns, and the change required interns to rotate in 2 disciplines, 2 major disciplines and 2 minor disciplines for 5 months and 1 month respectively, which the supervisors thought would produce better doctors as opposed to the previous ones. The committee thought it was the mandate of the Ministry of Health and the National Internship Committee to determine the course content and syllabus of training since they assess the output. The interns contend that the new rotation policy was introduced without their consultation and is unfavorable in terms of time allocated, especially for major disciplines. As a result, they had filed a case with the High Court under that number miscellaneous application number 814 arising from miscellaneous cause 835 of 2018 challenging the new policy, and on 25th January the court issued a temporary injunction barring the Ministry of Health from implementing the rotation of medical interns from 3 months rotation to 4 disciplines to 2 major disciplines as set out in the new policy. So the committee recommended that the Ministry of Health should engage the leadership of the medical interns in order to come up with an amicable settlement since this was before court. 4.22 was the availability of training centers, of supervisors at training centers. The committee was made aware that medical interns are supervised by specialist doctors, but they are not available in most of the government hospitals. In financial year 17-18, the Health Service Commission annual performance report put 38% and 37% as staffing levels of all specialist positions at Mulago National Referral Hospital and the other regional referral hospitals respectively. And for graduate nurses and pharmacists, there are no supervisors in most of the facilities. So the committee recommended that the Ministry of Health should take all measures to recruit specialist doctors and pharmacists to carry out supervision, and effective financial year 2020-2021, internship centers without supervisors should be closed. 4.23, equipment, medicines and supplies. The committee observed that most of the facilities, which are regional referral hospitals, lack diagnostic equipment, even as simple as ultrasound, as reported in Mbale Hospital. There is a frequent stock out of lab supplies, sundries, medicines in all regional referral hospitals, and the current provision of drugs only lasts as long as 60% of the required time. The committee recommended that the Ministry of Health should fast track the program of equipping regional referral hospitals which require diagnostic equipment, and that the budget of the National Medical Store should be increased by at least 100 billion to cater for the supplies deficit. 4.24 policy. The committee noted that the Ministry of Health, despite demands from Parliament for the last 3 years, has failed to produce a national internship policy. This is confounded by the lack of the training policy in the Ministry of Health. This has ultimately led to uncoordinated, unsupervised, unmonitored, unregulated training in the sector. The committee recommended that the Ministry of Health should produce an internship policy before the policy statement, and the Ministry of Health should produce a training policy for the ministry before the next financial year. Next was the relationship with the Ministry of Health. Interns reported lack of trust and harassment from their supervisors in the Ministry of Health, and they reported that dissenting voices are transferred to hard-to-reach areas. The committee noted that the Ministry of Health no longer conducts induction for interns at the beginning of the rotation. This should previously help supervisors to engage with the interns to discuss expectations during internship rotation. The committee recommended that orientation should be mandatory at the beginning of internship, and that the internship policy should detail the boundaries, expectations, and responsibilities of the interns and the National Internship Committee. Planning. The committee established that the Ministry of Health, despite availability of numbers from the different universities, does not take into consideration figures of the 5-year forecast of the expectations of the numbers of interns. This has led to uncoordinated outcomes. Ministry of Health reports that training medical students is under the jurisdiction of Ministry of Education and it is not their business. The committee recommended that Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education and Sports should establish intersectoral collaboration for better planning. 4.26, quality of graduates from the different medical schools of the country. The committee received various complaints from stakeholders including the Ministry of Health, the Uganda Medical and Dental Practitioners Council, the Uganda Medical Association Elders Forum, and the senior consultants that the quality of doctors being produced from the medical schools has gone down and that the Ministry of Education has failed to regulate the medical schools. The committee could, however, not verify these or confirm these claims. And the committee recommended that all graduates of medical schools should all undergo the same exit exams, which will help other medical schools to improve their standards. That is in reference to what UNEB does and others. In conclusion, it is of the opinion of the committee that all concerns raised by the medical interns should be addressed to enhance professional training required for the medical personnel. Lack of proper supervision, lack of accommodation, poor remuneration, poor relationship with the Ministry of Health and poor working environment should also be addressed and concluded. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the report was signed by 10 members and the attached annexes showing the petition, the court case, and the summary of medical interns deployed all over the country, and interns, a copy of an intern's appointment letter. Madam Speaker and honorable members, I beg to submit and allow me to lay on table a copy of the report and the minutes of the committee meetings. I beg to.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and the members of the Health Committee for that work. Honourable members, just to complement what the Chair has said, this week we were meeting the Health Service Commission, and one of the areas of dissatisfaction was the failure to harmonize on the course content. There were some areas that they felt should be part of the course, but they have no power to direct the Ministry of Education. So we asked them, the Ministry of Health and Education and the Health Service Commission to work together to address some of the issues. But Honorable Ogwal.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you recall that we have discussed this matter so many times, and I've had special interest in following up the issue of interns. Unfortunately, this afternoon, knowing very well that the matter was on the order paper, I don't see the ministers of health and education in the House to coordinate all these things that may emerge from the report of the Health Committee. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether you are going to take on the role of the leader of this House and also the leader of government business, so that you could do both to inform the ministers that your matter is on the order paper. Can you make sure you are physically present? Because at this rate, I'm aware that we have very little time left to clear very urgent matters. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know what you would expect members of Parliament to do after receiving such an important matter on the floor of Parliament. And really, this is a very important matter. You are aware that actually interns do sustain services in our respective hospitals, in our areas. And I'm surprised that neither the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Health, nor the Minister of Education are here to listen to our discussions. Right Honorable Speaker.
Honourable Senyonga, the petitioner.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for the good work. Right Honourable Speaker, by the time I submitted this petition on the floor of Parliament, we had not yet got the problem of COVID. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, but as we speak now, these interns are almost manning many health centers, including COVID. It is their humble request again to be added on the recommendation of the committee that should also be considered, because right now when they are giving money for them, they are left out as interns. They are not considered, whereas they are the one in almost control in many health centers. You go to Mitiana, you will find that 4 doctors are all interns, and they are working some day and night, but they are not considered. They have not been given gadgets to protect themselves. So that one, Right Honorable Speaker, is another added request, because by the time I brought the petition, we had not yet got the problem of COVID. But otherwise, the committee has done recommendable work. If the ministers are here to consider the concerns, and they don't leave only the Minister of Finance, because the Minister of Finance will answer for resources, but the docket minister should also know the seriousness of this, as the interns are contributing almost a half of the services in our health centers and hospitals. I thank you.
Members, on the floor of this House, we have advocated for protective gear and allowances for health workers. I believe that we cannot ignore the interns who are actually doing the work. So I want to ask a member to move that small amendment so that we can take a vote, and we shall bind the ministers. We take our resolution and bind them. Honorable, is that Pentagon?
Yes, Madam Speaker. While the recommendation and also the petitioner talked about 50% of services given in the hospitals and health facilities by interns, I want to say in some regional referral hospital it's more than 50%. You find it is them doing the work, and yet when it comes to payment, they get nothing almost. So my plea is that the recommendations given, which is mainly also about finances to health. Health has not yet even smelled 10% of the national budget, and yet we sign a declaration for 15% of the national budget. So if we can increase funding, finances for health, and we know that without health, even education, even agriculture, life becomes completely impossible. So before the policy statement comes in place, I think it is important really for the Ministry of Health and those ministers who do not want to take up their responsibilities effectively, at least one of them should have been here, much that a policy should come in. And the confusion between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health should be ironed out, so that work is better for our people, services are better for the people of Uganda. Thank you.
No Pentagon? Let's hear Pentagon. Okay, proceed and then on the Pentagon.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank Honorable Muyanja for the statement and the chairperson for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, as has been said, we have discussed these issues on the floor. Is it therefore possible that you could task the Minister of Health to make a response to the committee report, and then if any issues are not addressed, then we can have further debate. But for us now to continue debating in the absence of the ministers and on issues on which we have pronounced ourselves so many times seems to be a futile exercise. So the procedure I wanted to raise is it procedurally correct for us to continue debating in the absence of the ministers? Would it rather not be better that we require that they respond to the report so that we know the position. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
My members, in order for us to take that decision, we must adopt the report and then task the minister. So let's hear one comment and then we can conclude.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and honourable members. Madam Speaker, I want to take the opportunity to thank the Chair of Health for the good report. And indeed, this time of COVID should actually have opened our eyes so much to make sure that we remunerate our interns very well. But also, Madam Speaker, we have a big medical team of people who are qualified and they are languishing in the country. They have no jobs, yet we are crying that we don't have enough team to help us, especially during this time. Then the other issue about health care, Madam Speaker and members, is that when COVID-19 had started, the country was put under lockdown with the intention of preparing the country in terms of resources, knowledge transmission, so that we can be ready to meet any situation. As I talk now, I have not seen any form of preparation happening at health facilities, especially where our people first to go, especially Center 3 and Center 4. So I think as the minister comes to respond to this, let's totally look at the health force and also preparedness for this country as we meet this challenge of increasing numbers of COVID-19. Otherwise, I support the report and I call upon my members to adopt it with any amendments that might be. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Can I ask the Chair to just move the small amendment concerning the protective gear for the interns before we adopt?
It is captured.
Is there?
Yeah, it is captured as one of the issues, personal protective equipment.
Okay.
But
and allowances?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence. I don't know whether it should be part of this report. Madam Speaker, His Excellency the President has been on record in public saying that Parliament has frustrated him in increasing the pay of scientists. Madam Speaker, over the last 4 years, the Committee of Health has specifically been recommending to the Minister of Finance to increase the pay of scientists, which resulted from a meeting the President had with medical workers in 2017, where he proposed that the smallest amount to be paid to a nurse should be 1 million shillings, and to a doctor should be 5 million shillings. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, we've not got a positive response from Finance, but then what comes from HE is that the Parliament is the one frustrating that. Secondly, Madam Speaker, in issues of training, for instance, the regional referral hospitals don't have specialists because the government does not fulfill the terms of their employment. The senior consultants, for instance, they are entitled to a vehicle, chauffeur-driven, to guards and a house and fuel, but they are not provided. Even the recommendation that they should be paid as university lecturers is not fulfilled. All these things have been captured in our reports, but the response is not coming from the executive. So I wanted to pass that disclaimer that the responsibility is not with us, but with the executive, especially in the presence of the Minister of Finance here. So, Madam Speaker, that was my addition.
Honourable Member, what I can add on that one is that when the members of the Cabinet are asked why they have not done something, they say it is the Speaker and Parliament. That's what they say in the Cabinet. That's what they say there, where we are not. So I put the question.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes.
Just a second. Right Honourable Speaker, I think I listened to the Chair. He should only bring us clarification on where a court ruling is involved, whether it's mandate of Parliament to strike the court ruling or which one should be followed. Number two, Right Honourable Speaker, the condition of placing interns, like to hospitals, must be that you should be having a doctor, a qualified, there's a condition that I've given. So I think in the report, that condition the government requires that there must have been a doctor of a certain qualification. For example, if Nebi Hospital, General Hospital does not have that kind of doctor, then no intern can be placed to such facility. I thought that should also be, should have been captured in this report, so that it becomes like a bait, because wherever such qualification requirement is lacking, then the interns can never go to such facilities. And right, Honorable Speaker, our districts have been doing mistakes. You find a doctor who is qualified as a general doctor, the council will say, okay, we are now giving you a pay, you go for capacity building, and then they do masters, and they become overqualified for the general hospitals, right, Honorable Speaker. And then they move away to regional hospitals on national referral. Therefore, denying the district the opportunity to attract the interns. Can the chair clarify on that, and we see how we can amend and capture that so that the whole of Uganda can benefit from services of intern? Thank you, Right Honourable Chair.
But you want to clarify?
Madam Speaker, well, the court ruling could have been overtaken by events, but even the committee recommendation was a amicable settlement through discussion. And also 4.22 talks about the issue of supervisors adequately. Thank you.
Members, I put the question that this House adopt the report of the Committee on Health. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Item 10.
Item 10.
Responses by ministers to issues raised on A, the need for clarification replied by HE the President during his address on the State of the Nation on 6 June 2020 to support private sector in offsetting the cost of utilities.
Is there information on this issue? No? This out for the Prime Minister? Is the Minister for Relief here? No. Minister for Internal Affairs? No. Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs? No. Minister of Health? No. Minister of Finance? We have a series of questions on page 5. Minister of Finance? We have a series of questions. Are you able to answer any of them?
Thank you. Madam Speaker, there are a number of questions which needed clarification from the Minister of Finance. The first one was the intention of government to meet its date obligations to the Ministry of Water, rather National Water and Sewage Corporations. Madam Speaker, we are meeting these obligations in a phased manner, and we hope that by the end of this financial year we shall have paid all the dues that are demanded from National Water and Sewage Corporation. On the second question, the role of government to the issue of Islamic banking was first put in place a legal framework in which the Islamic banking can take place. And we have also issued regulations on how this can happen. So beyond this, we continue to encourage the private sector to start Islamic financing, because beyond this, we don't see how else we can support Islamic banking, because the law is in place, the regulations are in place. What we need to do is now, the environment is now clear for Islamic banking. We just want to continue attracting private people investment to invest in this area.
Is there no additional authority required after the regulations have come into force? Is there no additional authority required by the banks to commence?
Madam Speaker, I don't see any additional requirements apart from the law and the regulations.
Okay. Yes, G3.
G3 was on the circular from the permanent secretary stopping schools from utilizing funds dispersed to them raised by, this was to do with capitation grant. Madam Speaker, we are discussing this matter with His Excellency the President and the Ministry of Education. We request that we report on this as soon as that discussion is done, probably next week. The status of subsidies on the life jackets raised by Honorable Ouma, we intend to incorporate this to solve this. We intend to incorporate the some of the measures that we think can help, especially regarding tax reliefs in the next financial, which we are beginning in December when we bring the budget framework paper.
Okay.
The next one was unfair import tax levied by Uganda Revenue Authority on textile materials. Madam Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, I think we sorted out this issue because there is nothing that URA can do beyond what this Parliament has approved. Because if there is no tax approved by this House, then URA cannot impose that tax on anyone. And when this issue was raised, we wrote to URA to ensure that this does not happen.
No, Minister, I was with the URA people this week, with these traders. For them, they said that they are following instructions from the Ministry of Finance, and that unless they're instructed by the ministry, they will continue charging that tax. And what has come out is that the taxes protect local industries, but the items being imported have nothing to do with the local industries. Items for jeans, materials for jeans, and so on, which are not manufactured here. So there's a fundamental problem there. And I'll be writing to you, but I was with two of the officers in the URA with the traders on Monday.
So I can pledge to follow it up.
Yes.
And probably inform this House on Tuesday.
Yes.
But I don't see ourselves how we can impose a tax which is not approved by this House.
No. We may have approved it because what they were complaining about was that they're being charged in kilos rather than in meters. And that charge alone raised the cost to about 8 times. So it was passed, but I think there was not enough attention paid to that issue.
So can I?
But I'm going to send you the papers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can report on this on Tuesday.
Okay.
The sixth one was the continued levy of property rates in Kampala in spite of the negative effects of COVID. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, as you know, we made some proposals on amendment of some tax measures regarding to take care of the effects of COVID. And the Committee of Finance, I think, has finalized the report. So once this report is discussed, some of the things that we can address. So this matter is with the House. The delayed fulfillment of government undertaking to provide motorcycles to each of the 2 councillors representing people with disability at the district level. I don't know whether the Minister of Local Government has any information regarding this, because Minister of Finance really supports what comes from different sectors, and now that the Ministry of Local Government is here, he could probably make a comment on it. The last one was the exorbitant cost estimated at 10 billion of renovating buildings housing the Uganda Mission in Brussels, raised by Honorable Kenneth Rugorobi. We have not got information on this, Madam Speaker, but now that the Auditor General, who is an officer of this House, I think can be asked to look into this matter so that we know whether the cost was exaggerated or not exaggerated. That would be the fair way of handling this matter, rather than requesting the Ministry of Finance, because this is not our mandate to know whether the cost is exaggerated or not exaggerated. Ours is to raise resources, do the allocations as approved by this House. So those were the questions, Madam Speaker, and I request the Minister of Local Government, if he has anything to do with the motorcycles for the local people, he's better placed to answer local issues. Thank you.
Honourable members, I will direct the clerk to write to the Auditor General on the issue of the alleged exorbitant cost of the repairs of the mission in Brussels, so that can give us a position. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I thought
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the issue of Brussels, you know, Madam Speaker, I think it was last month or early this month, where the social media and the news were washed with the issue of the foreign officials. I don't know if it was a mission appropriating the balance of the money. Madam Speaker, I think these two, because this is the same area, I think before even we get to the Auditor General, yes, we shall do. But I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs should make a statement on these matters. This is what has been brought, and that issue which came out about how people were sharing, discussing how to share the money on Zoom via video. It came, but it has passed. We have not had any statement from whether the Prime Minister or the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs needs to come and give some highlights, then forward it to Auditor General to do audit, and does it comprehensively, because it's the same mission. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
No, I think one was Brussels, the other was Denmark. They are two different missions. But still, we have not had an official account from the government, so the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should come and update us on this situation about our staff at the mission in Denmark. Would you have the cost? Okay, and the cost for the mission in Brussels? Yes, Minister of Local Government, you could conclude your issues.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I have two questions. One is on the motorcycles and bicycles of the local governments, and the other one was from Honourable Judith Franca on the ex gratia and honoraria of councillors. Madam Speaker, I hope honourable colleagues will have seen in the papers, including the one of today, our advert on procurement of motorcycles. We're going to provide a motorcycle to each chairperson LOC3. That is the LOC, not the party motorcycles. We're also going to provide a bicycle for each chairperson LOC1. We've already started on the procurement process. We do not have provision to provide transport facilities for councillors, although I think there may be a special arrangement in Kampala for special attention to the persons with disabilities. I'll pass this on to the Minister so that they can handle it at their city level. But last time, I think Honourable Member of Parliament for Persons with Disability reminded us in the procurement we are including a special provision for our chairpersons who may be having disability, physical disability. Regarding the ex gratia and honorarium councillors' allowances, you recall, Right Honourable Speaker, in July this year, I made a comprehensive statement on this matter. I even provided the rates and the entitlements of each level, from the village to the district level, in terms of ex gratia, which is paid at the end of the year, and the honoraria, which comes in form of their accumulated allowances. We have been clearing this on a case-by-case basis, in touch with the chief administrative officers. And for the case of Agago, I can confirm that the ex gratia, honoraria, and allowances of the councillors at the village, parish, and district have been cleared. We are in touch with the Minister of Finance to avail the necessary resources for the sub-county. But the others, we have also identified the reasons, the problems, on a district-by-district basis. And some of these, honorable colleagues, relate to the process in which some of these administrative units are created. We're trying to work with the CAO so that we streamline this. In some districts, a proposal comes from the village to split a village. It goes to the sub-county, and then it is taken to the district and they approve it. When it stops at that level, we have not captured it at the national level. The law requires that they get approval of the minister, especially to make sure that I pass it on to Minister of Finance for financing and the Electoral Commission for the elections. But some of our colleagues in the districts have been simply approving it at the district level, and they stop there. And when it comes to time to pay, and the CAO receives the money only for the non-councillors or the non-chairpersons, and then they run into that kind of problem. So I hope that this problem will be handled and it will stop once we know the actual number of councillors, the actual number of LOCs we have, and we've told them, please, the law already requires that when you are creating new administrative units, you seek the permission of the ministry, especially for that purpose. So thank you very much, and I thank Honourable Member of Parliament for raising that issue. Yes.
I think
Right, Honourable Speaker. Talking about the LCs, the Minister has not covered the LC ones, because having seen the bicycles given to NRM lower level mobilizers, now the LCs who are not necessarily NRM are now asking when will theirs be available. So can the Minister also clarify those LCs who are not necessarily in the rank of NRM mobilizers, when will they get their bicycles? And also, knowing that 120,000 shillings per year tantamounts to 10,000 shillings per month, and knowing that we are in a COVID environment, are you now thinking of increasing the remuneration of LC1s? So can you clarify so that we can go back to our electors with some answers?
This was his question on Brussels.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, you have talked about the bicycles to be given to chairman LC1s. You recall that not long ago there was an attempt to distribute bicycles to chairman LC1s, and if I'm not mistaken, less than half of the districts of this country received the bicycle.
Hello, my name is Dr. Henry Dungu, a consultant in hematology and oncology. Health promotion and disease prevention programs focus on keeping people healthy. They aim to engage and empower individuals and communities to choose healthy behaviors and make changes that reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases